Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. How does a country go from medieval isolation to a global superpower in just a few decades? This isn't science fiction. This is the story of Japan and the Meiji Restoration of 1868, a transformation so radical it reshaped the world. To understand this revolution, we first need to look at the Japan that came before. For over 250 years, Japan was locked away from the world under the Tokugawa Shogunate. This was the era of the samurai, a time of strict isolation, no one in, no one out. Society was a rigid pyramid, samurai warriors at the top, then peasants, artisans, and merchants at the bottom. The emperor existed, but he was a figurehead with no real power. The true ruler was the shogun, the top military commander. This system created incredible stability and a unique culture, but it came at a cost. While Europe and America were charging through the Industrial Revolution, Japan was stuck in a feudal past, technologically and militarily falling far behind, and that vulnerability was about to be exposed in the most dramatic way possible. The year is 1853. The calm of Edo Bay is shattered by an unbelievable sight. Massive, smoke-belching warships, larger and more menacing than anything Japan had ever seen. The Japanese called them the Black Ships. They belonged to the United States Navy, led by Commodore Matthew Perry. His mission wasn't one of friendship. It was an ultimatum. Perry demanded that Japan open its ports to American trade. The shogun's government was faced with a terrifying choice: agree or face a war they knew they could not win. Their traditional samurai swords were no match for modern cannons. The result was the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854, followed by a series of unequal treaties with other Western powers. These treaties were humiliating. Japan lost control over its own tariffs, meaning it couldn't protect its local industries. It was also forced to grant foreigners legal privileges, exempting them from Japanese law. For Japan's leaders, the writing was on the wall. They looked at their neighbor, China, which had been carved up and humiliated by Western powers during the Opium Wars. They realized they were facing the exact same fate: exploitation and maybe even colonization. This shockwave didn't just open Japan's ports. It fractured the very foundation of its society and triggered a crisis that would bring down the shogunate. The arrival of the Black Ships plunged Japan into chaos. The shogun, who was supposed to be the nation's protector, was now seen as weak and incompetent for surrendering to foreign demands. The proud samurai class was outraged. They had been trained for generations to defend Japan, and now they felt betrayed. A powerful slogan began to spread like wildfire: revere the emperor, expel the barbarians. It was a call to restore the emperor to his rightful place as the true ruler and to drive the foreigners out. But here is the great irony: the leaders of this movement quickly realized that to expel the barbarians, they first had to become like them. They needed Western technology, Western military tactics, and Western organization to stand a chance. The old ways were failing. The economy was in turmoil due to the flood of foreign goods, and widespread famine led to peasant uprisings. The Tokugawa Shogunate was crumbling from all sides. In 1868, a coalition of powerful samurai from southern domains finally did the unthinkable. They overthrew the shogun and declared the restoration of imperial rule under the young Emperor Meiji. This event, the Meiji Restoration, wasn't just a change of government. It marked the end of 700 years of feudal rule and the beginning of a modern, centralized state. But this wasn't a return to the past. It was a full-speed leap into the future, a revolution from the top down. With the emperor back in power, Japan's new leaders, a group of young, brilliant, and pragmatic former samurai, asked themselves a single, vital question: why is the West so powerful? They studied, debated, and sent missions across the globe to find the answer. And the answer was clear. The West's dominance came from its industry, its technology, its powerful, centralized governments, its modern armies, and its systems of mass education. Their solution was as bold as it was revolutionary: Japanese spirit, Western technology. They would adopt the very tools of the West to become strong enough to resist the West, all without losing their core cultural identity. This wasn't about simply copying. It was about adapting, mastering, and ultimately surpassing. They knew that if they didn't modernize, they would be colonized. Survival demanded radical change, and the Meiji leaders were ready to tear down the old world to build a new one. And so began one of the most intense periods of transformation in human history. The Meiji government launched a series of sweeping reforms that touched every aspect of Japanese life. First, politically, they dismantled the old feudal system. The domains of the samurai lords were abolished and replaced with prefectures controlled by a central government in Tokyo. In 1889, they adopted a constitution modeled after Germany's, creating a modern bureaucracy and a parliament, though real power remained with the emperor and his advisors. Next, military reform. The privileged samurai class, the symbol of old Japan, was abolished. Their right to carry swords was taken away, and their government's stipends were cut off. In their place, a modern army was built based on universal conscription. Every man was now a potential soldier for the emperor. They modeled their new army on the disciplined Prussian system and their navy on the world's best, the British Royal Navy. Japan was rapidly becoming a formidable military power. Then came the economic and industrial revolution. The government took the lead, building the nation's first railways, shipyards, telegraph lines, and modern factories. They established a national banking system and embraced capitalism. To speed things up, they initially funded these projects and then sold them off to private family-owned conglomerates that would become known as the Zaibatsu, names like Mitsubishi and Mitsui that are still giants today. Cities grew, an export economy boomed, and Japan industrialized faster than any nation had before. Finally, none of this would have been possible without an education revolution. The Meiji leaders understood that a modern nation needs educated citizens. They established universal primary education for boys and girls, focusing on science, engineering, and math. The brightest students were sent to universities in Europe and America to learn from the best, while thousands of foreign experts were hired to come to Japan and teach. In just a generation, Japan's literacy rate skyrocketed, creating a skilled workforce ready to power its new industries and military. This wasn't just reform. It was a complete reinvention of a nation. The results of this whirlwind of change were nothing short of astonishing. By the end of the 19th century, the world looked at Japan in disbelief. This was no longer a helpless nation on the verge of colonization. In 1895, Japan went to war with its massive neighbor, China, and won a decisive victory, gaining its first colony, Taiwan. The world was shocked, but the real stunner came a decade later. In 1905, Japan went to war with a major European empire, Russia. In a series of stunning naval and land battles, Japan defeated the Russian giant. It was the first time in modern history that an Asian power had defeated a European one. This victory sent shockwaves across the globe. Japan had arrived on the world stage. It successfully renegotiated the unequal treaties, finally regaining control of its own laws and economy. It had joined the exclusive club of great powers. In just a few decades, Japan had gone from a nation of samurai and rice paddies to an industrial and military force, a regional empire with colonies in Korea and Taiwan. They had turned a crisis of survival into a stunning success story. The Meiji Restoration didn't just change Japan. It changed the world. For the first time, European dominance was seriously challenged by a non-Western nation. Asia was no longer a passive continent waiting to be carved up. Japan's success inspired anti-colonial reformers and nationalists across Asia and Africa. It proved that modernization was not the same thing as westernization. It showed that a country could adopt Western technology and institutions while still preserving its unique cultural identity. A nation could be modern and Japanese, or modern and Turkish, or modern and Chinese. But this incredible success story had a dark side. The same forces that made Japan strong: intense nationalism, loyalty to the emperor, and a powerful, unchecked military also planted the seeds of future conflict. This drive for power and prestige morphed into aggressive imperialism and militarism. The need for resources to fuel its industry and the belief in its own destiny led Japan down a path of expansion that would ultimately end in the catastrophic conflicts of the 20th century. Modernization brought incredible power, but it also brought a dangerous appetite for more. So why does the Meiji Restoration still matter today? It's a powerful case study in national transformation. It shows how external pressure can be a catalyst for profound internal reform. It demonstrates that with enough political will and a clear vision, a state can modernize with breathtaking speed, and it highlights the complex relationship between tradition and modernity, proving that a country can selectively borrow from other cultures without losing its own soul. The core lesson of the Meiji Restoration is this: Japan survived the age of Western imperialism not by rejecting the modern world, but by choosing to master its rules faster and more effectively than anyone else. It's a story of crisis, adaptation, and the incredible power of a nation united behind a single goal. Thanks for watching. If you found this story of Japan's incredible transformation fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what other historical turning points you'd like to see covered. See you in the next video.